Okay, let's start again. Let's think about the last video where we solved Gauss's problem using Polya's method. And we're going to try to see if we can do one that's similar. So let's take a look at this problem. Examine a related problem. Find the sum of the even natural numbers less than or equal to 100. Okay, let's make sure we understand this. Even numbers, I think you all know, are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. Okay, and we want the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on to end with the last number being 100, less than or equal to 100. Fair enough? Okay, so even numbers, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on, find the sum of all these even natural numbers up to 100. Devise a plan. Now, this looks a lot like Gauss's original problem. So if we take Gauss's problem in mind and we try to emulate it, we try to use the same kind of techniques, we can probably see what's going on. So let's recognize this sum can be broken up into two simpler parts. Okay, so 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all the way up to 100 is the same as 2 times 1 plus 2 times 2 plus 2 times 3. 2 is 2 times 1, 4 is 2 times 2, 6 is 2 times 3, and so on. So that just simply is nothing more than 2 times 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7, all the way up to 50. Oh, this looks very familiar, doesn't it? So what we can do is we can look at this and say, well, let's see if we can figure out what to do next. Okay, so we're going to carry out this plan. Okay, so 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus 10, that's 2 times 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5, all the way up to 50. But if we look at this little piece right here, what we say is this piece right here is Gauss's original problem. So that's going to be 50 times 51, the last number times the number right after it, 50 times 51 divided by 2. So, well, that 2 cancels with that 2, so that means all I've got is 50 times 51. I get out my calculator, and yes, we can use a calculator on this. We don't have to do it by hand. 50 times 51 is 2,550. And I got my problem solved. Okay, does this make some sense? Do you see how simple that problem is? Okay, so one strategy for solving a complex problem becomes look for a simpler one that is like it, and then use that same method. Okay, so we want to find problems that are similar to this. There's very few completely original problems in the world of mathematics. They tend to be recurring problems. Once we understand a kind of problem, we can use it to solve lots of related problems. Now, how do you go about doing it? Well, one way I like to do is I like to make a graphic that helps me understand what's going on. And sometimes that graphic is a table. So a table is really nice because it helps us see patterns that maybe aren't quite as obvious otherwise. Okay, so let's look at this problem. Bev and Jim ran a 50-meter race 3 times. The speed of the runners did not vary. In the first race, Jim was at the 45-meter mark when Bev crossed the finish line. So, how do we go about solving it? Well, one way we can do is we can work backwards. Okay, it took workers 5 weeks to dig a 10-mile tunnel. During week 4, the workers dug 2.5 miles. The next week, they dug 1.25 miles and completed the tunnel. How much had the workers completed after the first 3 weeks of the tunnel? Well, let's think about that for a minute. Okay, let's look at this and just see how we go about doing it. Well, the last week they dug 2.5 miles. The next week they dug 1.25 miles. Well, that's 2.5 and 1.25 is 3 3/4 miles. How much they done through the first 3 weeks? Well, they had 10 miles to dig. They dug 3 3/4 miles here. So if we do our arithmetic, that means 6.25 miles the first time. Okay, you can look at this and say, well, listen, they dug about 2 there and about 1 there, so that's 3. They had to dig 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. It should be somewhere a little less than 7. So one strategy that we use is what's called guess and check. Okay, this is a really good strategy, and it's a good way of going about things if you don't have a lot of background in mathematics. Well, guess who doesn't have a lot of background in mathematics? If you're in the early grades, you don't have that yet. You're learning that. So this is the method used by, well, 6, 7, 8-year-olds. Guess the answer and then look and see if it works. But I'm here to tell you, a lot of people at the high school and college level do the same thing. They kind of, well, they don't want to admit that they're guessing, but they guess. So this is a method that works reasonably well. Even though algebraic thinking is thought to include, to be involved in this strategy of writing an equation, we can think about, well, earlier ways we did it. So, what if I want to find the missing subtrahend? Okay, the subtrahend is the number we're subtracting. So 14 minus something is 3. Well, you guys all know how to do that in terms of algebra. You would write 14 minus x equals 3, right? Well, what they're writing is 14 minus something equals 3. Now, here's my question for you. Is this something and that x, aren't they kind of the same thing? So you see, this method we've got here, it's nothing more than algebra in disguise. So we've disguised a little bit. So we rewrite this problem as an equation, and then we go about solving it. 14 minus x is equal to 3. It's going to be 11. That's pretty easy to figure out. Okay, so you see where we're going with this? We're trying to come up with methods for solving problems that maybe we kind of understand, but we've never really formulated the idea in our minds so that we can reuse it over and over again. And that's kind of the point of this whole module. Okay, think about this for a while, and we'll talk about it later.